The Theory of Firewizzery Part 2. Featuring Jayman11. Chapter 1, where we left off. If you remember the first part to this story, you may recall how Firewizz had died, due to being reported on the Mineplex forums. Well, Firewizz has purchased a new account. This account was called Kyoto. He had thought of this name by randomly generating 4 words, and the first letters of each word spelled out K.O.D.O. Cayenne Pasta Camel had now merged into one entity known only as Nasty Jar. Darkseid is now known as Mr. Mars and was also no longer a clone of Mr. Wiz. ATNE had also separated from the Wiz, but works as a spy for Nasty Jar to gain evidence for this Kyoto account to also be banned on the Mineplex network. Chapter 2, A New Plan. Kyoto had abandoned his goals of gaining attention through films, and now devoted all his time to music. He had made a song called Apologies, which had his own voice, but since he was an alien he had to use a lot of effects to make it sound more like a human, but these effects didn't work and he still sounded like the offspring of a lumberjack and an ex-beau. He decided to scrap Apologies, even though he had never gotten farther than the lyrics. His next attempt at making music was an unknown EP which featured 5 songs. The only song he had ever created, however, was called Cameras, and he had only made the first 5 seconds, which was a few drums and 2 notes of a piano. He tried very hard to create this music, but he realized he could not do this alone. He asked Nasty Jar if they wanted to collab, but it said no. He then went back to the only thing he had left, his green drink. Chapter 3, Addis Ababa. His clones were very weak after the events of the first part. There was only 2 left. Their names were Up and SNS. Kyoto had to obtain more fuel to create more clones, however, and he needed more to form a proper band. He did not know where to obtain the legendary drink, but he did some research. He found out that the president of Ethiopia, K.A.T.E.O.N, had a big supply of the green substance which he needed, and that this man lived in the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. He had an idea. He saw a U-Haul truck drive by his house. He turned around, and forcefully propelled himself with his fiery whiz. He went so fast, and ended up in the middle of nowhere. This made him very mad. He got so mad in fact that he was fire so fast and went flying around. Then, against all odds, his trail of fire landed him right in front of the parked U-Haul truck. "Can I drive your truck to the capital of Ethiopia to get a green drink?" Firewizz said. "No!" The driver said. His name tag said Jayman11 on it. Kyoto was mad. Chapter 4, A Wild Encounter with a K.A.T.E.O.N. Little did Jayman11 know that Kyoto had watched one episode of a Persona 5 Let's Play, and he used his incredible phantom thief skills to sneak into the back of the truck. In the back of the truck, Kyoto heard something. He was not alone. One of the boxes started violently shaking, and then exploded. Out came a creature thing that was very traditional and wooden.
"Hi, my name is K.A.T.E.O.N,
It said. "Really, you look much older than a kid, and why do you spell your name with a question mark?" Kyoto asked.
I'm not a kid, I am the K.A.T.E.O.N. Do not assume my species."
The K.A.T.E.O.N quietly yelled. "Okay," said Kyoto.
"So, why have you accompanied me in this truck?"
said K.A.T.E.O.N. "Well, I'm off to Addis Ababa to get some more of this green drink so I can create more clones to form a band to gain attention so I can eventually return to my home planet of Sunev," said Kyoto.
"Cool, I'll join you,"
said K.A.T.E.O.N. Chapter 5, Heist. Eventually the truck arrived in Ethiopia. Kyoto and K.A.T.E.O.N thanked Jayman11 and gave him a good tip and told him to buy some goods with it. Jayman11 drove off and the team of Kyoto and K.A.T.E.O.N planned their heist. Now they had to locate Malata's palace. Once they found it, K.A.T.E.O.N ran inside and jumped on Malata. Malata was really confused and didn't know what was going on. Kyoto hit him with an attack he was weak to. "Hold up." Kyoto asked for an item instead of doing an all-out attack, but the only thing the man gave him was a head of lettuce. "What's your name?" said Kyoto.
Varghe's Justin,
said the man.
I don't think this is our guy.
Said K.D.
dot dash, slash, dash, slash, dash, 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 dash,
said Varghese. Thanks to Varghese, they had gained some new info on Malata's location. They went to the real palace, which was just next door, and found Malata asleep in his bed. There was an issue, however. It was locked with an iron door, and the two had no items to output a redstone signal. They found a button, but it was very far away. Kodo knew what to do though. He opened his bag, and took out the one weapon he could always count on. The bow. He shot the button, but instead of the iron door opening, the whole palace freaking exploded. The fuel rained from the skies. Kodo took out his container, and it was quickly filled with the fuel he needed. He quickly ran away from the palace though, because he was scared the fuel would get in his hair and mess it up. Chapter 6, The Parachute. Since Kodo was good on fuel, he had an easy way to get back to America. He concentrated very hard, and all of a sudden his hair started to grow. It got so big that it was basically a parachute of hair. They climbed up the highest tree in Addis Ababa, and jumped. There was a strong gust of wind that blew Kodo and K.D. back to America. When he got back, first he deflated the parachute, then he observed the contents of his bag once more. Inside there was a comb for making his hair look even better, his mighty bow, which had punch to and infinity, a purple suit and tie for those special occasions, his containers of fuel, which were now all full thanks to the destruction of Malata's palace, and a nose that he still didn't know why was there. Now that he had obtained more fuel, and had K.D. helping him out, he knew it was time to create more clones for his band. Chapter 7: The Boys. The first clone he wanted was someone fast. They needed to be the rapper for the band, and be able to rap very fast. Kodo concentrated very hard on the characteristic of speed, and drank some of the fuel while performing the summoning ritual. Then, a green boy emerged. He immediately started dashing around the place. "Hello, my name is Green Speed." Kodo was shocked. Normally, when he summoned a clone, they were just randomly generated, but when Kodo specifically wished for a fast one, that is what he got. Kodo realized that he can control what his clones are like, which would make the job much easier. Green Speed started rapping, and it was so fast you could not understand anything he was saying, but Kodo loved it, and was very happy with his new clone. Next, he needed someone who could make the beats for the band. Kodo drank some of the fuel, and wished for someone with musical experience. Then, a shark emerged from the field. Kodo was very surprised. How can a shark make music?
"Hello, my name is Max,"
said the shark. Aren't all my clones supposed to be humans? Said Kodo.
"I am a human. I just lost my memories and, I just am old."
"Right," said Max. "Okay, but can you really make music for us?" asked Kodo.
"Yes. I've been doing piano lessons for 3 weeks now. I'm basically a pro,"
said Max. "Sounds good, but can you produce music with the Ableton Live free trial?" asked Kodo.
"No, but I can play a C major chord,"
said Max. Kodo realized he needed to summon another clone. He was worried this would take up too much fuel, but he was going all in on this project, and would do whatever it took to make it work. He thought of a clone who knew how to make electronic music, drank some fuel, and did the ritual. Then, a boy emerged.
"Hello, I am Dynatron12,"
said the boy. "Hello, can you produce music for our band?" asked Kodo.
"Yeah. Although I'm running out of time on my Ableton Live free
trial," said Dynatron. "Great, you're in, buddy." The group had been created. Now it was time to think of a name, and get started on the grind. Chapter 8, K.A.T.E.O.N. Then they all went back to Kodo's house. While they were trying to think of a name for the band, they got tired and decided, hey, let's watch some YouTube. Unfortunately, they all fell asleep while watching a tutorial on how to open Ableton Live. However, they also left autoplay on, So when they woke up, they were watching Kit and Kate on Jim Jam, which was an ad for a new kids show, which had creatures that looked like Soonvians. Kodo then realized something. OMQ, the characters in that video look just like me without the afro. The humans are on to us. We must hurry. He exclaimed. What are we going to do? We don't even have a name for our band yet. Greenspeed quickly exclaimed.
I know what we'll call it. The Unhappy Signatures,
said Max. Definitely not, said Kodo.
How about the XX_massive_apartments_XX?
Said Up, who is still here by the way, and so is SNS. Probably not, maybe something Kodo said before being interrupted.
We should be the flavor tubes,
said Dynatron12. May, Kodo said.
Then what should we be called?
SNS said. I know. Kodo said. We should be K.A.T.E.O.N. An acronym for Kick Apple Tablet Ego Ordinary N. Perfect. Said Dynatron12. Now they were known as K.A.T.E.O.N, sad they decided that they got to go to a secure place, where they would not be discovered by the humans. Thankfully, Nasty Jar had just released a new album, that gave them the idea of where they should hide. Chapter 9, A Trip to Hart Island. Unfortunately, they had no way of going on a trip to Hart Island. But luckily, Jayman11 and his U-Haul truck came to the rescue. They asked if they could drive the U-Haul truck, but Jayman11 said, "No, but I have a solution to your dilemma." He opened the crate, and in the crate, was a wonderful hacking boy named Echo Slays. He toggled his fly hacks, and flew them over there. Once they were there, Kodo did the most logical thing he could think of, punch a tree and get some wood. He created a crafting table, but then he noticed that he forgot all his instruments. He then made some makeshift drums out of sticks and a tree stump, a guitar out of blades of grass, and used his iPhone 3 to record. He created 4 songs like this, and wished that the audience just saw it as a style and not that they had forgotten all the instruments. They made 4 songs, but each song was just 45 seconds of banging and hitting things with sticks. They were about to upload their songs before they realized something.
Wait.
K.D. said. We also forgot to get a computer to which can be used to upload the songs to SoundCloud. How are we going to go back though? Kodo asked. We go undercover, said Greenspeed, quickly.
Are we going to bring the computer back here? How are we going to plug it in?
Said SNS. I guess we'll always have to go undercover back to the mainland to upload our songs, said Dynatron12. And so they dressed up as human-like as possible, and got Echo's Lays to fly hack them back. They got to their computer at Kodo's house, but before they could upload their songs, there were 2 figures approaching in the distance. They were equipped with some big gun-looking objects. Chapter 10, Takoen Attacks.
Hello, we are Takoen. What you are doing here has exposed high levels of Firewizzery, and we must ask you to cease these actions,
said the one with pink hair. No. I need to make this music so I can return to my home planet, said Kodo.
Can I hear some of this music to decide if it is the real reason we are getting so many readings of high Firewizzery?
No. It will ruin the story. It's supposed to be in a story, so I can't show any of the songs until our album is released.
Okay, we have come to the conclusion that this was what was causing such high levels of Firewizzery,
said the other one, who had on a shirt that said Ouch Dog. These 2 both had uniforms on which displayed the name Takoen. Kodo got horrendously mad at the Takoen boys because Takoen was an anagram of K.A.T.E.O.N. Then he realized that the big guns they had were anti-whiz rays, and if they were to get hit by them, they would cease to be a living organism. When they left, Kodo searched Takoen on SoundCloud. They found an account with a picture of K.D. as the icon. They had 1 song, and it was called Ascension. 1 lyric was then "Come skate with the heat." How did Takoen know that Greenspeed was the rapper in K.A.T.E.O.N? Kodo was mad. He then found another song, titled Samph. He didn't listen to Samph, but apparently it comes out very soon. He left the page, and vowed to defeat Takoen. This did not happen. Chapter 11, The Cation Blaster. Kodo had a plan. He was going to create a weapon far more powerful than the anti-whiz rays held by Takoen. Kodo needed materials, and he knew just who to call. "So, what do you need?" said Jayman11.
We need to make a weapon,
said Shark Attack Max. "Oh, I've got you covered. I've got plenty of weapon parts," said Jayman11. "Can we get some for free?" asked Kodo. "No," replied Jayman11. They sold K.A.T.E.O.N to Jayman11 in exchange for some parts. When they got back, they assembled the weapon. The weapon was so powerful that there was no way that Takoen would survive its blast. Now they just needed to make both members of Takoen's lives come to a screeching halt. They had to do a test run first. They brought the Cation blaster to an empty field on Hart Island where they could make stuff go. It make a huge explosion. So big, that it shook the ground around it. Kodo smiled. It's time to make Takoen go boom. Chapter 12, Kyoto. Kodo did some research. He found out that there was a restaurant in Kyoto, Japan, called Takoen. He knew this was where they must be. He knew just who to call to get them over there. He summoned Echo Slays from his suitcase, and commanded him to fly the boys there, along with Jayman11. Echo Slays called Jayman11, and he came over. They all got in the truck. "Fly, Echo," Kodo said. Echo Slays started zooming around, and within a few minutes they were in Japan. Kodo used Google Maps on his iPhone 3 to locate Kyoto, and eventually they found it. They asked some citizens where Takoen would be, but none of them knew. Kodo knew something was up. Then Kodo saw something suspicious. He saw a big wall which seemed the perfect size to cover up a restaurant. He needed to get this wall down. He tried attacking it, and that didn't work. Shark Attack Max attempted to jump over it, but to no avail, and Green Speed tried to run fast into it, but the only thing that broke was his skull. Kodo was mad. He tried to use his parachute to get over the wall, but it was closed from the top also. He got so mad that he could just not contain his whiz anymore. He let it go! And the fire was so powerful that it burnt the wall right down. Kodo's theory was correct. Behind the wall was a small building that said Takoen on it. They stormed inside, Kodo armed with Wiz and Dynatron-12 holding the Cation blaster. Chapter 13, The Final Battle. Both members of Takoen pop out with their anti-whiz ray, and disarm Kodo's whiz. Dynatron-12 fires the Cation blaster at Takoen, but they put up an anti-whiz shield to block it. However, this caused the building to fall apart. Then Takoen began to run away. Green Speed caught up with them though, and started fighting, but then he got blasted to death by the anti-whiz ray. It was very tragic. He exploded into a million pieces. R.I.P. Green Speed. 2017 to 2017. Dynatron-12 got very mad at Takoen. "How dare you exist? You will die!" he screamed. He took Shark Attack Max, and put him in a crafting table with the Cation blaster to craft the Shark Attack blaster. He fired a big Shark Attack blast which caused a lot of damage. Takoen was very weak. They could very well defeat them. "Are we actually going to win this?" Kodo asked. As soon he said that, he heard a very distant "No." Chapter 14, The Betrayal. All of a sudden, there was a figure in the distance that was getting bigger and bigger.
Wait a second.
Said Up.
It's not getting bigger, it's getting closer.
"Oh my god, it's Jayman11 and his U-Haul truck!" Kodo exclaimed. "And it's coming right for us faster than Green Speed. Run!" And so they ran. However, Shark Attack Max couldn't run very fast as the Shark Attack blaster, so he uncrafted from it, and left it behind. It was crushed by the U-Haul truck. Everyone was able to get to safety, except for Kodo, because he was too slow. He was run over by Jayman11, and was completely flat. Jayman11 picked him up and folded him and put him in an envelope. He mailed it to Nasty Jar, with a letter, explaining the course of events that happened. Nasty Jar then wrote this theory, and uploaded it to Abuse Zone, the world's deadliest label. Then, they mailed Kodo to Mindplex, with a report, and the Kodo account was banned for flying with Echo Slays. Echo Slays wasn't banned though, because Mindplex is Mindplex. Chapter 15, Epilogue. K.A.T.E.O.N witnessed the entire thing and was another primary source for Nasty Jar. K.A.T.E.O.N/F Jayman11. Jayman11 ran over more people because it's fun. However, K.A.T.E.O.N got revenge on Jayman11 by reporting him on the CubeCraft forums, making him unable to use the U-Haul truck anymore, or be used only as a plot device. Green Speed, a little dead. Now a pile of ashes on the ground in Kyoto. However, he can still be revived. Nasty Jar received massive success. Abuse Zone is now a very popular label with very talented artists such as Varang Hansel and Drew K. Takoen, A.O.K. plotting a new Abuse Zone release. Echo Slays, still hacking. K.A.T.E.O.N, barely alive. Still attempting to exist but aren't doing a good job. Malata, awoken to his castle destroyed, but then fell asleep again. K.D, still in the back of that U-Haul truck. The end.